So the big question is this. How entrepreneurs like us who have been breaking with old beliefs, like the idea of holding a 9-to-5 job and living paycheck to paycheck, taking a lifetime to reach business and life success as the only option we have? How do we grow our business in a way that lets us highly service our customers, getting our products and services and the things that we believe in out into the world without diluting our life but enhancing it and taking the journey of internal and external growth? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. Your host is Marina Simon, and welcome to 10 Exit. Life and business as usual? Never again.
Hi guys, I am so excited to be back. I have missed you. It has been a couple of weeks I haven't been on air, but I've been traveling and I wanted to share something because the view of the world seems quite different since last time I was, out and about. As you know, we've changed, to say the least, our country, and we've changed our planet as well. And as you know, this podcast is intended to share with you the adventure of doing business, not as usual, but with the new technology or the new systems that have been developed, that are proven to be successful. The purpose of this podcast is not political. And I will never dare to try to give you a certain viewpoint because I do believe in human rights and we have the right to a viewpoint. We have the right to have our own observation about every single different area of life. However, I consider somehow part of my responsibility that when I find something that makes sense to share it with you. This might be the first and the last time I do these kind of things, but just hold with me today. This is an article by Dr. Mercola that I want to read to you. And it's called The Great Reset. And it goes like that. What is the Great Reset? We're now hearing about, in a nutshell, the Great Reset refers to a global agenda to monitor and control the world through digital surveillance. As explained by journalist James Corbett in his October 16, 2020, Corbett report, The Great Reset is a new social contract that ties every person to it through an electronic ID linked to your bank account and health records, and a social credit ID that will end up dictating every facet of your life. It's about getting rid of capitalism and free enterprise and replacing them with sustainable development and stakeholder capitalism. Terms that belie their nefarious anti-humanity intents, as noted in the book Technocracy, The Hard Road to World Order. Sustainable development is technocracy. The Sustainable Development Movement has taken careful steps to conceal its true identity, strategy, and purpose. But once the veil is lifted, you will never see it any other way. Once its strategy is unmasked, everything else will start to make sense. And that is the reason I want to talk to you about this article today. The Grand Plan. In her blog post, The Great Reset for Dummies, Tessa Lena summarizes the purpose behind the call for global reset. The mathematical reason for the Great Reset is that thanks to technology, the planet has gotten small, and the infinite expansion economic model is bust. But obviously, the super wealthy want to continue staying super wealthy, and so they need a miracle, another bubble, plus a surgically precise system for managing what they perceive as their limited resources. Thus, they desperately want a bubble providing new growth out of thin air, literally, while simultaneously they seek to tighten the peasants' belts, an effort that starts with behavioral modifications, aka resetting the Western peasant's sense of entitlement to high life standards and liberties. The psychological reason for the Great Reset is the fear of losing control of property, the planet, I suppose if you own millions and move trillions, your perception of reality gets funky, and everything down below looks like an anthill that exists for you. Just ants and numbers, your assets. Thus, the practical aim of the Great Reset is to fundamentally restructure the world's economy and geopolitical relationships based on two assumptions. One, that every element of nature and every life form is a part of the global inventory managed by the allegedly benevolent state, which in turn is owned by several suddenly benevolent wealthy people via technology. And two, that all inventory needs to be strictly accounted for, be registered in a central database, be readable by a scanner and easily ID'd, and be managed by artificial intelligence using the latest science. The goal is to count and then effectively manage and control all resources, including people, on an unprecedented scale with unprecedented digital precision, all while the masters keep indulging and joining vast patches of conserved nature, free and unnecessary sovereign peasant and their unpredictability. Global asset relocations will not benefit the people. These new global assets can also be turned into brand new financial instruments that can then be traded. An example of this was given by Vandana Shiva, PhD, in my interview with her. In it, she explained how India is headed towards zero-budget natural farming, meaning a brand new concept of farming in which farmers must trade the carbon rate of their soil on the global market if they want to make a living. They will not get money at all for the crops they actually grow. There's not a single area of life that is left out of this great reset plan. The plan reform will affect everything from government, energy, and finance to food, medicine, real estate, policing, and even how we interact with our fellow human beings in general. Privacy protections, of course, are a major hurdle in this plan, which is why every effort is made to get people to loosen their views on the right for privacy. In the US, we also have the Constitution that stands in the way, which is why efforts to undermine, circumvent, ignore, or nullify it are increasing. To sum it up, the desired end result is a giant, joyless, highly controlled global conveyor of everything and everybody where privacy is tremendously expensive, dissent is unthinkable, and a spiritual submission is mandatory. It's like a 24/7 medicated reality, except the medications are both chemical and digital. And they are reporting you back to their mothership, which can then punish you for bad behavior by, say, blocking your access to certain places or by putting a hold on your digital bank account, perhaps without any human intervention at all. Lena writes. Stakeholder capitalism. An October 5, 2020, Winter Oak article addressed the technocratic fascist vision of Professor Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, who wrote the book on the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Schwab announced the World Economic Forum's Great Reset Initiative in June 2020, which includes stripping all people of their privately owned assets. In addition to being staunch technocrat, Schwab also has a strong transhumanist bent, and he has spoken of a near future in which humans merge with machines, and in which law enforcement will be able to read our mind. Winter Oak. What is that? A British non-profit social justice organization. Points out what Schwab and his globalist accomplices are using the COVID-19 pandemic to bypass democratic accountability, to override opposition, to accelerate their agenda, and to impose it on the rest of humankind against our will. Ultimately, the Great Reset will result in two tiers of people: the technocratic elite, who have all the power and rule over all assets, and the rest of humanity, who have no power, no assets, and no say in anything. This is no conspiracy theory. The plan is out in the open. As noted by Time magazine, the COVID-19 pandemic has provided a unique opportunity to think about the kind of future we want. The same statement has been delivered by a number of politicians and organizations around the world in recent months. Schwab's book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, also urges industry leaders and decision makers to make good use of the pandemic and not letting the crisis go to waste. Incidentally, the owner of Time Magazine and founder of Salesforce, Mark Benioff, is also a board member of the World Economic Forum, so he's clearly familiar with the reset plan. The problem is that while the plan is being sold as a way to finally make life fair and equitable for all people, the required sacrifices do not apply to the technocrats running the system. Ultimately, the Great Reset will result in two tiers of people: the technocratic elite, who have all the power and rule over all assets, and the rest of humanity, who have no power, no assets, and no say-so in anything. While technocracy is not a political system but an economic one, in practical terms, it does resemble fascism. None of it is being sold under the banner of fascism, of course. Instead, they use financial terms like stakeholder capitalism, described by Forbes magazine as the notion that a firm focuses on meeting the needs of all its stakeholders, which are customers, employees, partners, the community, and society as a whole. In the same article, Forbes points out that this strategy has already been tried and failed. It failed because balancing conflicting stakeholders' claims was near impossible and only that led to mass confusion and poor results. The failure of this strategy is what led big businesses to focus on maximizing shareholders' value instead. Now, at a time when big businesses find itself under attack for single-mindedly shoveling money to its shareholders and its executives at the expense of customers, employees, the environment, and society as a whole, the answer, they say, is to return to stakeholder capitalism. But it didn't work before. What makes us think it will work now? Okay, my beautiful friends, I'm going to do a second part addressing the last part of this article. Again, I just want to share an article with you. This is not to be political. I think we are at the point where it's not about Republicans, it's not about Democrats, it's not about, Biden or about Trump. It's not, it is about us, which we inhabit this beautiful country, where we all can agree that it has been different from many areas of the world. I myself, I'm a Mexican. I never lived the rights that I have in the United States in my own country. You can see how Venezuela is living these days. They don't have rights. They don't even have the goods, the basic goods for living, not even the basic medicines to treat even diabetes, if anybody has a critical problem. So again, I am apolitical, but at the same time, I do have a responsibility as a citizen of the United States of America to share with you that it is in our hands. It is the people who hold the rights. It is the people who make this country what it is. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your party. It doesn't matter. We are all inhabitants of this beautiful country, and for so the world. And I just want to share with you this because I want to invite you to do something for me, which is the following. Look, observe, look what is true for you, and do not listen. Have a beautiful day.